All right, Pete
By
Souza.
the way, can I get a social media handle on here or something?
You were supposed to type that in at the beginning.
At Petey Souza on Twitter, and
at
I'm not hard to find.
Souza.
Pete Souza.
Ain't too hard to find. Pete Souza. Petey Souza. We'll include that in the description. How about that?
Thanks, Cam. All right, yeah.
If you couldn't tell, Pete Souza joining the show. Inside the 12, ESPN, Pete Souza Show on Rogue Media Sports Network, and really our resident Big 12 expert and a Philly guy. A Philly guy.
Yeah.
Pete, let's talk about the coaching cycle, because I think this is like literally one of your favorite things of the year is the coaching carousel.
Oh, yeah.
Both in college and in the NFL. And this is where it intertwines, because Matt Campbell of Iowa State fame has been asked to interview with the Chicago Bears. We've heard that Deion has very strong interest in the Raiders job. Whether that's being reciprocated remains to be seen. Right before we recorded, the contract has run out on Mike McCarthy. So certainly there's going to be some talk, some chatter of Deion and that job as well. What does it say with all this time, all this talk of the bias towards the SEC and the Big Ten and which one of those is better than the other? What does it say now that the NFL openings, they're looking for Big 12 coaches, or there's rumblings about Big 12 coaches around NFL jobs?
Well, coaches are going to do what they're going to do, right? If you're a good coach, you're going to emerge as a really good coach. And if you suck, you're just going to suck. That being said, the big place is a great place to thrive as a coach. And I think it's weird, man, of the Big 12. Like Brett Yormark.
I like the big place. I think that's cool. Like Fort Hood was always called the great place, which I think is a little overblown, but the big place. Come here.
The big place, baby. I believe that there's no better time to have prolific head coaches at the top of your programs, because there's so much shuffling of players in and out. Like for Iowa State, for instance, Matt Campbell's not going to get that job. Matt Campbell may not want that job. I have no idea, right? But that's my percentages in my head. But you know what I mean? Like he's clearly not the favorite to get the job. So he goes back to Iowa State. That's a great recruiting tool for the Cyclones. Sure. Same thing with Deion.
As if he needed the help. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. But what a sexy coach. Now Deion is even more, there's more like glitter around him and coaches.
And he could say, look, I didn't want to do the NFL thing. I want to coach your son. I want to make him the best he can be. And hey, maybe there is some truth to that. But yeah, you're right. You can just throw that at them.
And even Deion, like if I'm going to coach the Raiders, like I was on my show today, like kind of pooping all over the Raiders. But like at the same time, if Deion really wanted that job, he wouldn't say, well, I got to bring, Shiloh and Shador with me, So he's kind of like, I think the Cowboys job would be different. I think he would take that job with nobody coming with him. That'd be interesting. Yeah. So, but I do think it speaks very highly of the position that Brett Yormark has put the conference in with these TV deals and with the teams playing as well as they did. They had a strong, you could say bowl season is what it is, but the Big 12 had a strong bowl season. And the more and more light that is shined on this conference and the more publicity these coaches get, the more attractive they become to NFL programs. Matt Campbell and Deion Sanders are two guys who had great success in the Big 12.
Yeah. Matt Campbell specifically has been terrific over almost a decade now.
And Deion last year, look, nobody saw that. He's turned this program around. Right. Yeah. Come on. So and Kenny Dillingham is one of the hottest young coaches in the whole country. Mm-hmm. And again, that's a guy that's really cool, because where in a world where everybody's chasing something, as far as the coaching ranks are concerned, you haven't heard anything about Dillingham wanting to leave Arizona State in a time where it would be absolutely prudent for him to take other opportunities and to look at other. He'll probably never be this hot again, in my opinion, unless he turns out to be one of these amazing head coaches. But we see this so often. These guys have a moment, and he capitalized on it with a new deal and an extension.
Right.
He wants to be in Tempe. Like, at least that's what he says, and it shows that he does want to stay there. So imagine if you have all these coaches come back. It's a pretty good look.
I know. I'm just now wishing that Matt Rhule's recruiting and coaching ability with Kenny Dillingham's mentality, mindset, that would have been something. That guy was shopping it around every off season, man. Would have loved that. You
Matt
mentioned,
Rhule, baby.
dude, talk about a lightning rod amongst Baylor fans, by the way. I know you've seen it too, but
Why do
being in
people
the
get on him?
I think it's because he shopped himself around after every season.
People, I'll tell you, one person was
Okay.
like, and I'll do my Texas accent, like, yeah, like he's just kind of like, people around here just see him as like this slickster from the Northeast, just coming down here with the used car salesman talk.
That's the term, the used car salesman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was that?
I'm not saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There was that used car salesman, and I think there have been some stories that have come to light from some players that were like, oh, that doesn't make him look like a great guy, which is kind of par for the course for being a big-time college football coach. There are some people who believe that in Baylor Nation, and there are some that think he was the second coming, and that if he was still here, we would have won a national championship by now. Of course, me being me, Pete, I'm somewhere in the middle. I would have loved to have seen what a 10-year plan of Matt Rhule would have looked like. But we also can't forget he did not win a single game against a ranked team. He never beat a ranked team here, which Deion has not done at Colorado either, just throwing it out there. But Dave Aranda wins the Sugar Bowl with Matt Rhule's players. Like, that is true. But he also beat like 5 ranked teams that year and won the Big 12. Matt Rhule didn't do that. So I am interested to see where that would have gone. But maybe right place, right time in terms of that 21 team with Dave Aranda. What do you think? Like, what do you think about if Matt Rhule had stayed? Do you think this thing would have kept going?
No, I don't. I think.
Let's take the
weird.
NFL thing out of it. Like, he's not
define stay. So Matt Rhule is going to be your next Grant Taft. Well, yeah, I think you get a national championship out of him at some point for sure. But that's like a lifetime commitment.
Shoot though, Pete, you're dangling a college football national championship in front of us. We'll take anything for that.
Yeah, no, but hold on now, because it's not going to be like, I got this thing right here I was talking about on my show. Okay, God damn, was Clemson amazing? I mean, you look at these championships. 2015, Alabama beats Clemson. 2016, Clemson beats Alabama. 2017, Alabama, Georgia. Okay, 2018, Clemson beats Alabama. 2019, Clemson, that was a Dave Aranda team, gets crushed by LSU. But you see Clemson, like, that's how you get a university spoiled. Like, realistically, if Matt Rhule were to have stayed at Baylor for, again, like, we're talking a 20-year commitment, I'm saying, like, you get like 1 or 2 years in the playoff and maybe a championship out of it. I'm not saying you're Dabo Swinney like that. That is, see, that to me is like, people get drunk off that. That's not real. Like, that Clemson run is so amazing. And if you're sitting here and you're a Baylor fan and you think that that's what you should be in store for, woof, I think there's a little issue with like reality.
I think we're taking the other one. 20 years, a couple college football playoff appearances, a national championship. I'm taking that. Trust me, brother. I'm taking that 11 times out of 10.
I believe that. I believe if he were to stay and made his home Baylor and his life was, I believe that. Like Scott Drew. Like, that's a great example. Like,
yes, there you go.
Dude, I was looking up Scott Drew's ranking. Then this just shows to where coaches all over the place are just getting screwed, I think, like by their programs and athletic departments. Scott Drew's winning percentage over the first 4 years in the Big 12 was like 28%.
Yeah, there's some extenuating circumstances there. Yeah.
4 years.
Correct.
Like, come on, man. Like, a coach goes 3 years with like a under 30% conference winning percentage, he's gone, Yeah. And I think Scott's project and what he was doing there was more to it than just basketball, but pretty amazing when you think about that, how much things have changed.
I also know, because now this is running around in my head, I also know you're a big sports nostalgia guy. You remember a time, you're old enough to remember a time, I'm not, when Nebraska was actually good at college football.
Oh, great.
And now Matt Rhule's there. So you say what he could have done at Baylor. Talk about the resources at Nebraska. Does Matt Rhule get Nebraska like deep in a college football playoff run and or playing for a national championship?
It goes back to my last point. If the university and the athletic department and the boosters can show patience, absolutely. But he's got to be patient too. He's got to stay. But I believe that. I believe like a coach of Matt Rhule's ilk. Now, but there's so many outliers. These coaches are people just like us, and these boosters and athletic departments, they get pissed. I mean, because they are Nebraska, right? There's a little delusion there. Everybody's waiting for Tom Osborne to walk through the door. That ain't happening. And nor Lawrence Phillips, but like that is what the standard is there. Right. And so there's got to be a commitment on both ends. And that is the great outlier. But yeah, I 100% think if Matt Rhule, again, puts 15 years in Nebraska, you're talking deep college football playoff runs.
That's Pete Souza of ESPN, the Pete Souza Show, Inside the 12. If you think Matt Rhule's going to win a national championship in Nebraska, let me know down in the comments below. If you think he would have done it at Baylor, because I know there are plenty of you out there.
What does Drake Toll think? Below.
I think Drake Toll is just thinking about what to put in the headline, man.
Hey, I've learned who knew I've learned so much from Drake.
Oh, I think Drake would have said he would have brought them to a couple of CFPs. Yeah. I don't know if he would have said they'd win the national championship, but I think Drake would say that.
Okay. Anyway. I'm going to have to find out what he thinks. Okay.
Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, because then we're available wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you to Pete, and thank you guys for making it your first listen today and every day as we are on the march towards 4,000 subscribers. We need your help there. We will be back later on with your favorite show, Locked On Baylor.